All right, Sean and Ray, thank you. As we are in the top of the second here at Candlestick Park, you can leave the windows open this evening in the Hotel California. An uncharacteristically warm June evening here at the Stick, with the Padres grabbing the 3-0 lead over the Giants. Here's how the Padres scored. Roberto Alomar, the third man up, with a base hit to center field. That scored Bip Roberts, who walked and stole second base, so that was 1-0. Next man up was Joe Carter. He of the second position in the National League at RBIs, dumps one over Uribe. That scores Alomar. Carter then was balked to second. Wild pitch to third. And then Mike Pagliarulo stepped up and hit a fly ball to Kevin Mitchell. Mitchell uncorked a good throw, but it was a little up the line. Carter scored, and the Padres had 3 in the top half of the first. And now Gary Templeton steps in to lead off the second inning. We're glad you could join us. Chris Berman along with Tommy Hutton. Good to see you on the Giants-Padres network.
Nice to be here, and it's interesting watching the Padres attack Francisco Olivares. They saw him last week in San Diego. Second time around, a little different story for the right-hander.
Templeton hits one to left field that Mitchell goes back on. Ball carrying well tonight, but Mitch squeezes it for out number 1. And you might be wondering, you saw him without the goggles. If it gets windy, he will wear the goggles, and we'll talk more about that. Here's the Padres lineup tonight, our Sears diehard Padre lineup. Tony Gwynn leads off and playing right field. Bip Roberts in left. Roberto Alomar at second base. Joe Carter at center. Pagliarulo at third. Jack Clark at first. Templeton, Mark Parrott behind the plate. And Bruce Hurst starting and pitcher tonight, hitting number 9. Mark Parrott hitting 8th. Catcher. Big kid, 6'5", out of Redding, California. He now will do the bulk of the catching the next 5 or 6 weeks, as Benito Santiago is out with a broken left forearm. Parrott skies one in foul territory. Will Clark makes the play, and there's 2 down.
Well, you just saw Will Clark, part of the defense of the Giants. Here's the rest of it. Mitchell, Butler, and Rick Parker in the outfield. Matt Williams, Jose Uribe on the left side. Robbie Thompson at second base. Will Clark, the first baseman. Gary Carter behind the plate. And Francisco Olivares is on the mound. Mentioning that this is his second outing against the Padres. A lot of off-speed pitches, breaking balls, and an occasional sinker. But at least this time they know what to look for.
Bruce Hurst steps up, hitting .045 this year. Taps one to Matt Williams. It's a fair ball. Bruce doesn't exactly do his Carl Lewis imitation down the line. And unlike the first inning, the Padres are down 1-2-3 in the top of the second. 3-0 San Diego. Back at Candlestick, bottom of the second inning, our Sears diehard lineup for the San Francisco Giants. Brett Butler leading off in center field. Rick Parker in right. Will Clark at first. A 1-2-3 first for Bruce Hurst against this lineup. Kevin Mitchell in left field. Matt Williams, the red-hot Matt Williams at third. Gary Carter behind the plate tonight. Robbie Thompson, Jose Uribe, Francisco Olivares.
And the defense for the San Diego Padres. Bip Roberts in left. Joe Carter, the center fielder. Tony Gwynn in right. Pagliarulo, Templeton, Alomar, and Jack Clark around the infield. Mark Parrott catches. And the left-hander, 32-year-old Bruce Hurst, is on the mound, and he probably doesn't know how to feel with a 3-0 lead. That's been one of the problems. Padres haven't got him many runs.
No, as a matter of fact, he got more runs in the first inning than they're averaging for him all year long. He's the second lowest pitcher. In other words, for teams getting runs behind him. Only Tom Browning in the National League has received less per game than Bruce Hurst.
That's why he made such a quick out. He wanted to get back out there and work.
Yeah, that's right. He was overjoyed. Won't be easy to punch Kevin Mitchell out, though. He's red hot, as is this whole Giant team. 2-1 count to Mitchell. The Giants in the month of June, 16-1. They've been hotter than the evening here at Candlestick. Much hotter. Off speed is outside of the former Padre Mitchell, and it's 3-1.
You know, the thing about Bruce Hurst, I think people who have followed his career, as he faces a hot hitter. Speaking of hot teams, Matt Williams is up next. Kevin Mitchell right now. But Hurst has, as we mentioned, not gotten many runs. He has pitched well. You talk to Pat Dobson, you talk to his manager Jack McKeon, they say he's thrown the ball well. He's thrown a lot better than his 3-6 record indicates.
Well, he hasn't won in over a month. May 18th. 3 no decisions, then 2 losses. A 3-6 mark is not what you expect out of Bruce Hurst. These kind of numbers, leading in the National League in RBIs. Matt Williams, the Giants have expected for a few years, and my goodness, they have them. One of the see the Sox right there? 15 days ago, Monday, what was it, the 4th of June against the Reds, Matt Williams pulled up the Sox. He smacks one to third. Alomar, a nice job at takeout by Kevin Mitchell, so they only get one. The Sox helping Williams get down the line awfully fast.
Well, that was a double play ball, and it has been a problem of the San Diego Padres. The defense has hurt them as well as some of the other things that have caused their problems. Right there, double play ball. Roberto Alomar couldn't quite get the handle on that throw, and then Mitchell came in, gave him a good hard slide.
And here he is, Gary Carter, who tonight, because he is catching against the lefty Hurst, has now caught more games than any other catcher in National League history, passing Al Lopez. 1,862 games Gary Carter has squatted behind the plate. And that's a lot of deep knee bends. And all time, now Lopez played a handful of games in the American League. Carter is 5th. There you see Boone, Fisk, who caught tonight for the White Sox, Sundberg, Al Lopez, Gary Carter. That's an awful lot of signs to give. Williams, meanwhile, misses a sign. It looks like he is caught between the bases and is pegged out. So quickly, 2 are gone in the Giants second.
Nothing new from Bruce Hurst. Matt Williams should have known that, especially with his ball club trailing 3-0. Hurst has an outstanding move. Picked off 10 last year. Going into last year, Hurst had over 60 pickoffs. Just an excellent move. The play complete by Jack Clark, who made a good strong throw on to Roberto Alomar.
So Carter now bats with the bases empty, and the count is 1-1.
Gary Carter had a great line. He said this record was a lot easier to attain than the 300 home run mark. He said all he had to do tonight was go back behind the plate and squat. The 300th home run took him a little longer, and it was a little harder to do.
Count is now 1-2 to Gary Carter, who has really, I think, surprised a lot of people. I don't think he surprised Al Rosen and Roger Craig so much, but I think his play behind the plate has surprised some people, especially with the kind of season he had last year with the New York Mets.
Well, I know Roger Craig is extremely happy to have Gary Carter and Terry Kennedy, a couple of veteran catchers. Roger doesn't have to worry quite so much when he puts those backstops back there to handle the pitching.
And on the 1-2 pitch with 2 down to Carter, he skies one in the infield. Jack Clark makes the call near the mound, and the Giants are gone in the second. We've played 2 here at the Stick. 3-0 San Diego. Top of the third, 3-0 Padres, and a history-making night for that man, Gary Carter.
Well, we talked about the record-setting night, and I asked him prior to the ball game what it meant to him to break Al Lopez's record.
Well, I think more than anything, Tommy, it just means that I've been durable through the years. I mean, Al Lopez did it in 18 years, and I will too be able to accomplish it in 16 years. So it's a nice milestone to reach, and it just means that I'm a little bit on the crazy side to go back behind the plate that many times.
I told him we should have done that interview while we were both squatting on the ground. He would have felt more comfortable.
Certainly more at home. Top of the third, Chris Berman and Tommy Hutton here at Candlestick Park. The Padres lead the Giants 3-0. Tony Gwynn flew out to center field to lead the game off. Tony Gwynn, who last night and tonight, as the count is 1-1, leading off for Jack McKeon's ball club. We went into San Diego last week. The Padres were almost as hot as the Giants. They were swept by San Francisco. This one's a little bit down low, says home plate umpire Ron Barnes. They were swept by the Giants. 1 of 3 in LA, and so now Jack McKeon is shifting up his lineup, and Gwynn leads off the last 2 days.
Yeah, he's been leading off to try to create some excitement in the lineup, but he has had problems. And you know, you see 0 for 13 with other hitters, you wouldn't think that much, but Tony Gwynn, now 3 straight games, has gone hitless. He never in his whole career has gone 4 straight without a hit.
Well, there's another one, although he hit that on the nose. Uribe was there, and there's 1 down in the Padre third. So Tony Gwynn's average is falling towards 320. A lot of players would love to have that problem, by the way.
Hitting leadoff, though, I talked to him, and he doesn't mind. It doesn't bother him to move around in the order. Some hitters get a little upset when they have that happen to them, but with Tony leading off, Alomar the number 3 spot. It doesn't make that big a difference to Tony Gwynn.
Here is Where's the Bip Roberts, little spark plug for the Padres, who was Jack earlier this year moved him down to the number 2 slot to try and get him going. That was late April, early May. It worked then. Roberts has had a rough week, and he's back hitting number 2. Walked the first time up, slice deep to Mitchell, and the ball is really carrying out towards left center field, but there are 2 down.
Well, first of all, a guy named Bip shouldn't hit one that far to the opposite field.
That's right.
That fooled Kevin Mitchell a little bit, and Roberts showing some opposite field power. You're right about tonight. It's a warm evening. Last night during the ball game, Kevin Mitchell would have had to come in on that. It was foggy. The ball wasn't carrying as well. Tonight, a little different story.
So with 2 down and the Padre third, Roberto Remember the Alomar. Slick second baseman who last week has had his troubles, as of all the Padres. I'm talking about at the plate. The Padres, Tommy, it seems 2 or 3 times this year they've all hit, then they've all gone into a little slump. They've all hit, they've all gone into a little slump. Hitting is contagious.
Yeah, and you hate to have that happen. Obviously, you've seen what it's done to the Padres. Usually, it doesn't happen. Here's Olivares' pitch. You can see the sinker. Good pitch, and it causes Roberto Alomar to pull off that ball. But usually, in a situation, you'll have 1 or 2 hitters maybe get cold. You'll have a Joe Carter stay hot, or you'll have a Jack Clark get hot and carry the ball club. But very rarely do you have everybody go down, and that's been the problem for San Diego.
Salomar's having his problems against the Giants, hitting 136. This pitch is outside, 1-2. So Francisco Olivares, after giving up 3 in the top of the first, had a 1-2-3 6-pitch second. And if he punches Alomar out here, we'll have a 1-2-3 third. This is on the fly, though, to right field, and not catching up to it is Rick Parker. Parker's relay to Thompson. And so much for a 1-2-3 inning, because Alomar simply slugged the ball for a double.
That was a nice play, too, by Rick Parker. There was nobody on base, and I'm sure Alomar would have been satisfied with the 2-base hit, but he gets a hanging breaking ball, and he attacks it, hits it hard off Olivares. But watch the play of Rick Parker. He knows he doesn't have it, so he plays it off the fence, bare hands, and then comes up and fires a strike into the cutoff man.
Yeah, he played that like he's been at Candlestick several years, and he's been here like several weeks.
Ball kicked back the opposite way, too. That's why he had to bare hand it. A good play by Rick Parker.
Here's Joe Carter, RBI single in the first. And he fouls one back. Does Carter have a shot? Yes, Carter makes the play and says he's in the dugout. He'll take a seat right there. The Padres are gone in the top of the third. 3-0 San Diego.
Important series as the Phillies try and gain ground. This is the bottom of the 10th. Bill Landrum to Dickie Thon. He scores John Kruk. 3 straight hits after 2 are out. They get the job done and win it. The Expos remain 2.5 back of the Pirates. The Mets win and the Phillies win, so they're both 5 back of the Pirates. Back to Chris and Tommy.
All right, John, maybe the NL East doing the Archie Bell and the Drells. They may be tightening up. Leading off the third inning for the Giants, Robbie Thompson against Bruce Hurst. 3-0 San Diego here at Candlestick on, you don't have a chance to say this that often, just a marvelous evening at the stick. Thompson, Irulo, Jack Clark, 1 down. And if you're wondering about checking in on pennant races, don't even think about turning your dial. 1 against 2 in just about every game coming up here on ESPN tomorrow night. Red Sox and the Blue Jays, they of course battling out in the AL East. That's tomorrow, 7:30 Eastern. Friday, Pittsburgh and Montreal, Chicago and Oakland, so NL East and the AL West. And Tuesday, the early games, San Francisco against Cincinnati will be at Oakland, seeing the leaders in the AL West, and they're playing the Detroit Tigers next week. So pennant race, battle of the best here on ESPN as Jose Uribe looks at ball 1. Giants early. That's going to be strange.
How about that in that Toronto-Boston game tomorrow night? Boston, with their win tonight, pulls within a game of the Blue Jays.
And Uribe with a shot to center field, and the Giants have their first base hit. Jose Uribe, who's been doing it with the bat as well as the glove this year, finally solves the riddle that has been Bruce Hurst tonight.
Right here, Hurst just trying to get a strike into Uribe, and Jose, it's a line drive that Joe Carter's fooled on a little bit. Started to come in on it, then pulled away, and the ball carried a little further than he thought. But that swing right there, compact line drive, that's the reason Jose Uribe has hit over 300 all year.
Francisco Oliveros. Yeah, wonder what he's going to do. He's going to bunt it foul. Strike one. 0 for 5 this year, as he's making just his second start for the San Francisco Giants.
Bill Fahey probably gives him the sacrifice once again.
Yeah. You know, you go out, you've been out on these limbs all year, man.
It's just West Coast that does it to him.
Squares to bunt, and you know, I think a little extra time in the cage is needed for Francisco Oliveros for the bunts.
But for our young viewers who've stayed up late back east, don't try to bunt the way Francisco is doing right there. He's getting the bat out, but the object of a sacrifice, any type of bunt, you let the ball come to you. And Oliveros is trying to punch at the ball, and he's fouled a couple off. Not real good approach right here, Francisco Oliveros. See what he does here with 2 strikes. Probably be bunting again.
You know, I slighted him. He is 0 for 2, 0 for 3.
And again, he tried to push at the ball instead of letting the ball come to him.
That's pretty lame at bat for Francisco Oliveros. So 3 attempted bunts, 3 fouls, sit down. 2 down, Uribe the runner at first. And that'll bring up Brett Butler. Now there's a guy who can bunt.
Butler tried to drop down a bunt in the first inning. Of all the exciting things that happened before we came on, he took a bunt with him. He dragged the bunt out toward the first baseman, Jack Clark. Jack came in to field it and then raced toward the line, made a diving tag, and was able just to get to Butler. It was a good play on Clark's part.
Butler hitting at .255. And Mark Parent was thinking about firing down to Jack Clark there to keep Uribe honest. Parent has a good arm. Of course, in comparison to Benito Santiago, nobody has a good arm. But the Padres feel very confident with his defense back there.
Yeah, they sure do. He has a good attitude, too, about this situation for him. Yes, he's happy about being able to get in there on a regular basis. He's unhappy about the circumstances that called for him being in there.
He's happy to have a chance, but he knows the story. The Benito Santiago was on his way to the All-Star game, or he should be. And talking to Brett Butler before the game, I said, in your years of catching, who's had the best arm? He said, no question, Santiago, maybe Tony Pena, equal when Tony was at his height with the Cardinals.
You're talking about a guy who has studied catchers over the years.
So by Brett Butler saying Santiago's arm was the best, that was that made me stand up and take notice. Not that I was surprised by the answer. Count as 1-1. A lot of cheering in that dugout this month. Boy, and the way they started here in April, losing their first 8 at Candlestick.
They get off to a 9-18 start, the Giants. Now they're 5 games over 500.
And here's Butler reaching out and touching someone with a base hit to left. Uribe will stop at second. And so the Giants, with 2 down, have 2 aboard. Now here's some of the things we were talking about. Their last 10 games at Candlestick have been perfect, 10-0. Look at the difference in average, look at the difference in ERA, and obviously look at the difference in results.
Not very often do you have an entire ball club raise their average and lower the earned run average at the same time. So the only thing that can happen when those 2 things are put together, Roger Craig delighted at what has happened when he's gotten the batting average up and the ERA down.
Rick Parker looks at strike 1. Parker broke his nose on Saturday before the game, batted ball, pinch hit Sunday, starting on Tuesday. Obviously a tough kid. That's what Roger Craig told us last week. We believe him now. Hit a home run in our game last week. Way out in front of that pitch from Hurst and is behind 0-2.
Well, he's getting an opportunity, too. When you're a player that has spent time in the minor leagues, he's fooled on that off-speed pitch. It's a good pitch by Hurst. He pulls the string a little, as well as the curveball and fastball. But in Rick Parker's case, he was about ready to give things up. Go back to a job that he had, white-collar job. Got another chance, and here he is in the big leagues.
He's got a white-collar job. That uniform's pretty clean. Sends this one way down and left, but it is foul. If that had gone out, it would be Rick outside the Parker. These, as we mentioned last week, the throw-in, the oh, by the way, along with Bedrosian in the big trade with the Phillies.
Well, does that look like the type of swing of a guy that has a microprocessor technology degree?
He's perfect here. He can drive down the street to Silicon Valley here and work computers. Nice play by Parent right there to keep the base runners at first and second.
So it's an exciting time for Rick Parker and the Giants. The guy played for the University of Texas with Bruce Ruffin, Greg Swindell. We saw his good outfield play last inning, and he's been hot offensively as well.
27 years of age from Kansas City, Missouri. Fouls one back. Count remains at 1-2. We talked about it last week, Tommy. They get Bedrosian, the big trade. About 5-6 weeks later, Rick Parker, the player to be named later. Now, earlier this year when Bedrock was having his problems, Dennis Cook got out to the 5-0 start for the Phillies. Terry Mulholland pitching well. Charlie Hayes playing well for the Phillies. The Giants needing pitching. They said it was a bad trade. They forgot about this guy, but Hurst didn't and striked him out. So the Giants strand two. We've played 3 at the stick. The San Diego Padres lead it 3-0.
The Royals hosting the Seattle Mariners. Dave Valley knocks this one off Perry. It goes right to Vagoda, and he nails Pete O'Brien, who hesitated and then tried to go into third. Steve Farr gets the win. Mark Davis did not pitch the ninth. He was pulled from the game, and Montgomery got the save. Let's go back to Chris and Tommy.
All right, John, thank you. Top of the fourth. 3-0 San Diego. Mark Davis, troubles continue.
Well, it was last week that we were reading all the Mark Davis rumors of the Padres trying to reacquire him. Work out some sort of a deal with the Kansas City Royals.
Mike Piarulo leads it off and takes ball one. That could happen, as he has certainly been nowhere near the pitcher that he was for Jack McKeon and the Padres last year. Now, I went out on the limb there. Piarulo sacrifice fly drove in the third Padre run in the first inning, fouls this one back. The count is even at 1-1. Mike Piarulo's play essentially knocked Fred Lynn out of the starting lineup.
Yeah, it has, and Pags, in talking to him before the ballgame, has an interesting assessment as we, well, talking about Pags, we get to see the assortment of camera people that are at the game tonight in full. But Pags was telling me one of the ways he helps himself when he's in a little bit of a slump, he likes to get in there against left-handers. Now, Olivares tonight a right-hander, but when he sees a left-hander, makes him stay back, makes him wait a little bit more. So there are occasions where he will say, "Let me see that left-hander."
Olivares misses outside. It's 3-1.
Look at the pine tar on the shoulder of Piarulo, the left shoulder. He whips the bat around so much, when he brings it around after a swing, the pine tar gets all over the shirt.
And he draws a base on balls. Well, we know about the pine tar rule with George Brett. I wonder whether they would take away a home run because he has too much pine tar on his shoulder. I doubt it.
That would be the pine tar etiquette rule.
Stepping up is Jack Clark. That's the booze that you hear. Jack Clark, who spent his first 8 years patrolling right field for the Giants, is hitting his number, which is 0-0, since a week ago Saturday when he hit a home run. He's 0 for his last 21 and had some things to say after Giant pitcher Jeff Brantley broke the arm of Benito Santiago. Looks at strike one. Says it was really taken out of context, but he said, "We'll get them when we go up there." Or at least he was quoted as saying it, and the fans really, the boo birds were out last night. Jack says, "They've always booed me here when I came here as a Cardinal, and now as a Padre. They don't know why they're booing me. They just boo me."
Yeah, he didn't hold back in his comments either. I'll tell you a couple of other ones that were attributed to Jack Clark. He said, "You know how I feel about the Giants. I can't stand them."
Well, that's what was quoted.
So now I just hate them even that much more. So their time will come.
He doesn't say that he actually said those things. He said they were taken a little out of context. He enjoyed his stay here in San Francisco.
That's what you usually say, though, when you're quoted in the newspapers. They were taken out of context.
Well, you always had to recant those statements, those inflammatory remarks you made in your years with Dodgers, Phillies, Spos, Jays.
I'm still making them now.
They boo you in every park, don't they? Count is 2-1 to Jack Clark.
Well, it all goes back to what Pete Rose said years ago. He said, it's okay if they boo, just so they don't boo me at home.
Yeah. They don't boo Jack Clark in San Diego.
No, they don't.
They have no reason.
They didn't boo him in St. Louis.
They didn't boo him here.
They didn't boo him here when he was here for the
No.
first time either.
No. Clark slugs one to center field. Brett Butler is there. Pagliarulo goes back to first base.
Pagliarulo, a little credit there as he took off with Clark swinging at that pitch. Pags picked up the outfield, and he saw the ball was catchable by Brett Butler. Ball hit hard, and every once in a while a runner can be decoyed. Infielders can decoy a double play, but Pags picked up the shot. That swing. Jack Clark, one of the most aggressive swings in the major leagues. He is scary just when he steps up in the batter's box.
Not in a good mood, though. 0 for his last 22. I was talking to him at the cage. As the throw goes over to Pagliarulo. Templeton stepping up. I said, you'll snap out of it tonight. He says, well, I may not snap out of it, but I'm going to snap tonight. So we shall see. One down. Pags the runner at first. Templeton. Little looper. Base hit. Pagliarulo makes the turn. Butler throwing. Williams tagging. He's safe. But out at second is Templeton. So the Padres trying to be aggressive. It got Pagliarulo third, but Templeton trying to sneak into second is cut down. Heads up play by Matt Williams.
Couple of heads up plays right here. First we saw Jack Clark rip a ball for an out. This is blooped into shallow center, and Templeton picks up the base hit. No hesitation by Pagliarulo. He makes Butler charge and throw a little bit high, but Matt Williams alertly saw what Templeton was going to try to do, got the throw, and came up and fired a strike.
Didn't even try to tag him. Well, it kind of did.
He kind of put it down there, but once he saw what was unfolding in front of him with Gary Templeton, he came up and fired a strike to Uribe.
And now a little conference at the mound.
So 8-5-6 you can mark in your scorebook on that putout.
I thought Pags was a dead duck at third when he made the turn.
Throw was a little high. If the throw's down around the ankles.
Here's an appeal play at second.
So the appeal.
Did he hit the bag?
They're thinking that Pagliarulo maybe missed the bag, but Frank Pulley, as he always is, right on top of the call.
You can't pulley the woolly on Frank. There's no question about it. I'm sorry. And now they're going to put Mark Parent on to pitch to Bruce Hurst. And I would say this is a good percentage move, even though Parent not known for the bat.
Yeah, there's also something interesting with Parent having to take over as a catcher for the Padres. And I'm sure Roger Craig knows this. He knows the type of catcher that San Diego is, but he also knows Mark Parent. And the thing that Parent gives his ball club is the confidence in him. All the ball players, you talk to the pitching staff, you talk to the rest of the players, they all feel this guy could catch on a lot of major league ball clubs. So it's not like you're putting someone out there who all of a sudden the confidence is taken away from the team.
I'll tell you what else. I wouldn't want to try and score with him blocking the plate. He's a big boy.
6'5", about 230.
Yep. Nice kid. His parents in the crowd tonight.
His who?
Huh?
His who? In the crowd?
His parents. Mark's parents are in the crowd. And I call him Planned Parent, but he said, you got to go with transparent as Hurst fouls him back. I said, why? He said, well, you know, I don't know that my folks counted on me being around. I said, come on. Redding, California, grew up a Giants fan. Says he still has some feelings for the Giants, even though obviously he is a Padre. Runners at the corners with 2 down, and quickly 0-2 the count to Bruce Hurst.
And obviously the move here with Hurst having gone 1 for 23 this year. Olivares just trying to get Parent at first base with first base open and go after Bruce Hurst. No hold on Parent.
No reason to hold him as Hurst is punched out on 3 pitches. So the Padres leave 2 aboard. We're heading to the bottom of the 4th. 3-0 San Diego. Hotel California. Chris Berman along with Tommy Hutton. The Padres got their 3 in the first, but Since then, Olivares has settled down.
He settled down, but the San Francisco offense, the way they have gotten together here in June, I think even Olivares and the rest of the people in the ballpark know that they're just ready to go off because they can score some runs, and Olivares knows that.
They're like a time bomb, and Bruce Hurst, as you pointed out, you know, he gets less than 3 runs a game. He gets the 3, and he's saying, here we go again, right? Where are more runs?
And he's saying 3 runs were nice in the top of the first, but don't roll over offense right now. Could use more.
Well, here's a guy that certainly can provide some. Will Clark, and we thank the Giants for our... there's a nice greeting out in center field, which I'm sure we'll show in a moment. They like us here in the Bay Area, don't they? As Clark swings and misses and is behind 0-2.
It shows you right there that left-handers don't seem to bother Will the Thrill. What he's done against Hurst.
The Giants have called us Mississippi Berman and Tommy E.F. Hutton working the game tonight. And you know, when you speak, you have to listen. Clark, did he hold off? Yes. No, says third base umpire Steve Ripley. And Clark
doesn't believe it.
That is just now you're taking a page out of my book.
And Steve says, believe it or not, you are gone. So Will has been upset twice with the umpires tonight.
Let's take a look. Yeah, it's one of those in between. Half of those you see called a strike, the other half you see called a ball. And Will was able to keep the arms and the wrists from breaking, but he did take the bat across the plate.
Here's Steve Ripley. Kevin Mitchell looks at ball 1 in the dirt. So Clark thought he had beaten out a play to first base in his first at bat, ground ball to second, and had some words with Bruce Fremming. Now has some words or glance, the old Sidney Wicks stare at Steve Ripley. Mitchell grounds to Templeton. Over to Jack Clark. 2 down.
Well, again, we're seeing Bruce Hurst the way he's been described to us by both his pitching coach, Pat Dobson, and his manager, Jack McKeon. He has been a steady pitcher all year, but his 3-6 record just doesn't show that.
Well, one thing about Bruce Hurst, Tommy, I mean, in the last couple years, he has been a consistent winner. He's one of 5 pitchers to win 15 or more games in the past 3 years. I mean, that's 15 doesn't sound like that much, but over the last 3 years, only 5 have done it in the majors.
It is nowadays.
Yes, and the only guys that did it, Oral Hershiser, Roger Clemens, Dave Stewart, Bob Welch, and Bruce Hurst. So 15 may not get you Cy Young awards, but it'll get you a lot of starts every year, won't it? I mean, he has been very consistent with his record at 3-6 this year, coupled with Eric Shaw, who began the year as the second starter for San Diego, who was 0-6. McKeon goes into the year with his starters 1-2 record of 3-12, and that's not what Jack had in mind in March.
Yeah, the numbers, when you look at Hurst, he's given up fewer hits than innings pitched. There's the curveball and changeup. He'll throw a lot of those to Matt Williams, and he has 65 strikeouts and only 24 walks coming into this ball game, so a lot fewer walks. He just hasn't gotten any runs scored for him.
Opening day, we had him at Dodger Stadium, took a no-hitter into the 7th inning, but eventually lost the game when Brooks hit the home run. Off speed, Williams slugs it to left. Giants have their 3rd base hit. So at 2 down, Matt Williams, the runner at first base. Tomorrow night, check out the team that Hurst used to pitch for, the Boston Red Sox. Now just 1 back of the Toronto Blue Jays, and they'll face off in Toronto tomorrow here on ESPN at 7:30 Eastern Time. Some of you will see the Orioles and the Cleveland Indians, so that and you'll see the game.
Not sure who's pitching for the Red Sox, but I know Dave Stieb will be going for the Blue Jays in that ball game.
Matt Williams now with a 16-game hitting streak, as he has just been hitting close to 500 since the Sox have gone up, a la he says Babe Ruth, we said Rusty Staub. I've seen Bob Allison written. It doesn't matter, it works. Gary Carter fouls him back.
The other thing about Matt Williams, and he demonstrated it on that base hit off Hurst. Hurst hung him a curveball, and this year he told me last time we were here in San Francisco. This year, when he's gotten his pitch, that hanger or that fastball right over the middle of the plate, he's hit it hard, and more often than not, he's gotten a base hit on it.
Carter pops one behind first base. Jack Clark makes the play, and the Giants are gone in the fourth. Bruce Hurst shut out the Giants through 4. It's 3-0.
ESPN Baseball Tonight, brought to you by Mitsubishi, bringing you a full line of award-winning automobiles. See them all at your Mitsubishi Motors dealer. By Wheaties, better get your whole grain, better eat your Wheaties. By Monroe Shocks and Struts. Monroe, your safety could depend on it. And by Extra Strength Ben Gay, sports medicine in a tube.
Now the Padres have the right medicine thus far tonight, and, well, they like us here at Candlestick. We thank the Giants. Giants video, been great to us. San Francisco, Bob Lurie from the owner, from Vice President Corey Bush, all the way on down. I think the Pods kind of like us too, although our record with the Giants this year is a little bit better. We missed the game yesterday as Tony Gwynn leads off. You were here, so they're 6-0 with you in the park this year, 5-0 with me in the park. Saw Bob Lurie before the game talking about the payroll. He said he'll think about it. Tony Gwynn 0 for 2.
Notice on that first pitch, Tony tried to shorten up, and we've talked about him now having gone 0 for 14 in his 4th game without a hit. He's never gone 4 without a hit. He was thinking bunt. He'll try to get on any way he can, and being in the leadoff spot tonight, he's trying to reach, maybe drop down a bunt.
Count is 2-1 to Tony Gwynn. 3 straight National League batting titles, and a base hit just past the outstretched glove of Jose Uribe, and Gwynn leads off the Padre 5th with a base hit.
And he can still say he's never gone 4 games without ever having a base hit.
And you're talking about a guy, I'm sorry, Tommy, here it is.
Yeah, and this is what gets him out of slumps. He has that great line drive opposite field stroke, and when he's hitting the ball that way, that's why he never goes more than 3 or 4 without a base hit. His problem, sometimes he tries to pull. He's just like every other hitter. He mentioned it to me himself. He said, I try to open up a little too soon and pull too many things.
Bip Roberts, as the throw goes over to keep Gwynn at first. Bip Roberts walked and scored a run, stole a base and scored a run in the first. Flew to center field in the 3rd. Ground ball to Thompson. Uribe. Clark. Double play turned slickly by the Giants. What's going on with baseball tonight? Let's go to Bristol with John Saunders.
The Astros and the Dodgers. Tommy Lasorda comes out to talk to umpire Doug Harvey. Wants him to check Mike Scott's glove. Well, this is pretty common stuff. Harvey goes out, takes a look at the glove, finds nothing in it. You recall earlier this year, Chris and Tommy, the Giants pulled this ploy, and then Mike Scott fell apart. Giants got the game. Tommy Lasorda trying the same tactic. Let's get back to Chris and Tommy.
All right, John, thank you very much. As the Padres lead at 3-0 here in the top of the 5th. 2 down for Roberto Alomar. And, of course, the Dodgers, they're just trying to stir things up. They've fallen below 500, and Tommy trying to be a spark plug. Roberto Alomar slugs one to center field, so needless to say, that double play rather large for San Francisco.
Yeah, we're talking about tactics here, and Mike Scott, well, the tactic that Roger Craig is pulling with that first base hit by Tony Gwynn, he immediately got action in his bullpen. All of a sudden, the double play ball made it 2 out, nobody on, but he continued to keep the action going in the bullpen because he doesn't want this game to get too far out of hand. He knows his ball club, the way they've played, is certainly within striking distance.
Well, always a danger with this man at the plate, Joe Carter. Fastest Padre to 50 RBIs. His RBI in the first gives him 55, one behind the National League leader Matt Williams of the Giants. And you know, last year in Cleveland he had 103 RBIs. He's way ahead of last year's RBI pace, so who knows what kind of numbers Carter will put up there before this year is out.
Little off-speed pitch. Olivares pulled the string, had Carter fooled. Great story, though, isn't it, on Oliveros, the way Al Rosen, general manager of the Giants, discovered him, went down to Phoenix to watch Eric Gunderson, a left-hander, pitch for the Giants organization. He was pitching against Oliveros, who was with the Twins organization, pitching for Portland.
Struck out 12.
Had a great game. Rosen said, we need to get this guy.
Well, Oliveros just got Joe Carter, and I'll tell you what, the Padres cannot be very pleased. Oliveros simply jamming him there, and Carter, that one had the smart. He's not a very happy camper right now. Jack McKeon, the Padres, kind of moving up on that bench a little bit.
Well, the amazing thing, every time a player is hit, the obvious is to think that the pitcher's throwing at them, but obviously right here, Oliveros is not trying to put any more runners on base. With Alomar already at first base, hitting Joe Carter is not what he had on his mind. What he had on his mind was try to run a fastball inside. After showing him the off-speed pitch, wanted to come inside with a fastball. Then he was probably thinking another changeup or breaking ball away. Ball got away from him, tailed inside, and caught a piece of Joe Carter.
So now, were it not for the double play, the Padres might be in the midst of a big inning.
You know, when you think about it, we have time here because Roger Craig's taking the slow walk to the mound, but there's been a lot of players recently hit by pitches that have put them on the shelf. Jerome Walton of the Cubs, Steve Buechele of the Rangers was hit earlier in the year. He's back on the disabled list. Paul Molitor will be on the DL.
And we'll have a pitching change. Oliveros out. I believe it's Ed Vosberg coming in. We'll be back. 3-0 San Diego. Candlestick, the top of the 5th. Francisco Oliveros is out. Ed Vosberg is in with the Padres leading 3-0. Now, last Thursday in San Diego, Jeff Brantley of the Giants pitching to Benito Santiago. Way up and in. Fractured his ulna, which in English is a forearm. And then you just saw the pitch from Oliveros that hit Joe Carter. There were some bad words. They really thought that there might have been some brouhaha here last night. Good crowd of almost 30,000 was on hand to see if the bad words between the Padres and Giants would surface. It did not. Brantley even batted last night. They didn't throw at him. Here's Ed Vosberg, 6'1", 190 left-hander. He goes right inside to Mike Piarulo. Big situation in the ball game. It's a 3-0 San Diego lead. There are 2 on and 2 out.
Yeah, right here, if Roger Craig and his crew, Vosberg being the one that has to do it, can shut them down, they still keep it just a 3-0 ball game. Here's that left-hander that Piarulo was asking for.
Now, the Giants bullpen early on, really, except for Jeff Brantley, had their problems, as you can see. I mean, that's big problems. Since the middle of May, what a U-turn they have made. Brantley's been great all year. Bedrosian since that time. Situation with his son Cody clearing up, and that's great news for everybody. Roger Craig has really been able to count on his bullpen, although we stressed there have been 21 different pitchers to work this year for the Giants.
Tell you what, if Vosberg doesn't watch it, Roberto Alomar is going to walk to third base. He had a dancing lead, was about a third of the way. For some reason, he's decided just to stay there. He thought of the situation. He wants to let Piarulo hit, but Vosberg better check him.
Well,
okay.
See, it's good to know that they get ESPN down on the field. We wired it earlier today for cable. We told you how much the Giants like
that hidden microphone right behind the mound, the speaker.
I think Frank Pulley has one in his left pocket so they can hear it out there. Vosberg, yes, he gets the strike.
You know, the amazing thing about the Giants, as we've looked at a lot of graphics tonight, here's a ball club. It's very easy, as Vosberg gets with fastball out there, to figure out why they're 16-1. Their bullpen has turned it around. The offense has been unbelievable. The starting pitching has come into their own, and they've led the league in fewest amount of errors. And so if you put that all together, you will go 16-1.
Past Vosberg, slow roller to Thompson, fires to first, and the Giants escape the Padre rally. We're heading to the bottom of the 5th. San Diego 3, San Francisco nothing.
Checked by the Dodgers and the umpires. Well, then he loads up the bases in the next inning. Daniels, Murray, and Socha. And then faces Mike Sharpison, walks him, to score Cal Daniels to give the Dodgers a 1-0 lead. A sacrifice fly, it's 2-0. Then Yelding with an error scored 2 more, 4-0. The Astros have lost 10 straight. Back to Chris and Tommy.
All right, John, thank you. And so Tommy Lasorda, the master of strategy.
Obviously didn't go to the mound to give Mike Scott some Slim Fast.
No, he obviously didn't do that. He checked his glove to see if it was chocolate royale or was it the strawberry jubilee. Count is 1-1 here in the bottom of the 5th inning in San Francisco to Robbie Thompson, with the Padres leading the Giants 3-0.
You know, Robbie has gone along with the flow. In June, he's hit .345. He got off to a slow start, and he's been working hard with Dusty Baker. A couple of things. He's been trying to just shorten the swing up a little bit, not worry about long balls, just go with line drives.
You want to see first place against second place in just about every division? Well, keep it here on ESPN. Tomorrow night in the AL East, Boston at Toronto. Friday night, Pittsburgh and Montreal in the NL East, followed by Chicago and Oakland in the AL West. And then NL West, the Giants and the Reds, the first game, as Thompson gets punched out. Giants and Reds in Cincinnati. That's the first game next Tuesday. We'll be in Oakland for the A's against the Detroit Tigers. So 1 down in the 5th.
Big curveball by Bruce Hurst, and the reason that he has been able to shut down the Giants so far tonight. He has mixed his fastball, he's thrown some good curveballs, and then his off-speed pitch, the changeup, which he'll turn over. And he has all 3 of them working for him tonight.
Jose Uribe batting .311. Ground ball to Templeton, fields it easily, and there are 2 down in the Giants' 5th.
No, the interesting thing about Hurst, when he came to the Padres and signed a big contract, a lot of people, even though he'd been a successful pitcher with the Boston Red Sox, questioned how he would react being the #1 man now. He'd always been behind Roger Clemens. And so it was Clemens and Hurst and worse for the rest of the league.
Hey, this is a great scene here. Here is pitcher Don Robinson pinch hitting for Ed Vosburgh. So Robinson, with his 3rd pinch hit appearance of the year, 6 times last year he pinch hit.
Well, we mentioned that he's a .253 lifetime hitter last week with 11 career home runs.
And there's one going back. It's gone!
Tape him up and let him go.
Don Robinson, pinch hit home run, and the Giants have finally broken through against Bruce Hurst. Oh my goodness! When the Giants are hot, we don't only mean their regular batters. Everybody swings a hot bat. Look at the greeting he gets at the dugout, and listen to this crowd of over 30,000.
Hurst just said, here's a fastball. I'm not sure if you're loose yet up in a pinch hitting role. Career home run number 12 for Robinson. They want the curtain call here at the stick.
And there it is. So Don Robinson.
No, we had talked last week about how one year, a few years back, he went to the instructional league, pitched, and every other day that he didn't pitch, played the outfield, led the league in hitting.
Led the lead in home runs and RBIs.
It's
Florida
incredible.
Instructional League. Well, that brought the crowd to its feet. It was out of here by a mile.
Home run number 11, by the way, that Bruce Hurst now has allowed this year.
And the Padre pitchers have really been susceptible to giving up that long ball.
Number 77 as a team. The Padres lead the National League in that department, a department that you don't like to lead in.
No. 77 homers, this their 63rd game. Hurst behind 2-1 to Brett Butler. Don Robinson, they call him Caveman. One of the more delightful people in the Giants clubhouse, that's for sure. Pretty delightful guy right now, I imagine. Inside, it's 3-1.
Well, the thing about Don Robinson, when he pitches, Roger Craig just hopes that the tape all stays together and that he's okay. So he sends him up here in this pinch hit roll. Hurst just gives him a good fastball, and Don Robinson was ready for it. There was no doubt about the distance of the ball.
No. He's got to work on the Cadillac trot a little bit, though, doesn't he? Has hit 3 homers in a season back when he was a member of the Pirates. And those are the that's how the ball looked to him when
Well,
it was coming up.
he's also no stranger to pinch hit roles. He's used often in that role.
3rd time this year, and he's only been on the, been healthy about 3-4 weeks. And Hurst loses Brett Butler. So with 2 down, a Robinson home run and a Butler walk. And that'll bring up Rick Parker, 0 for 2 tonight.
You know, when you're 16-1, strange things happen. And with the outs being made, Thompson and Uribe, to make it 2 out, nobody on, Roger Craig decided to send Don Robinson up there. Robinson doesn't hit if there's somebody on base. He sends somebody else up there more than likely. So Robinson has created excitement with the home run. All of a sudden, the tying run to the plate.
Parker. Tough hop. Cairulo struggles, but makes the play. And the Giants are gone in the 5th. But not until that man, Don Robinson, lets one loose over the left field fence. Padres still lead, but now it's only 3-1. Padres 3, the Giants 1. Top of the 6th inning, and the new Giant pitcher after the pinch hitting job, and I would say job with a capital J, by Don Robinson, Bob Knepper.
Tell you what, it was probably a tough decision for Roger Craig. He might have thought about a double switch. Rick Parker making the last out. Could have put Don Robinson in the outfield.
Yep, he should have. He should have. So a couple of old teammates working against each other, Bob Knepper and Jack Clark. 2 guys that's been a good part of their professional career playing for these San Francisco Giants.
Jack Clark is just going to have to wait. Every hitter of the Padres will have to wait on Bob Knepper. He does not throw hard. He'll throw soft, softer, and a little bit softer.
Well, that was not what you mean. Soft, softer, and something like that. That's what you meant, wasn't it? It's hard to pronounce.
I can't say that as well.
It's hard to pronounce. Jack Clark 0 for 2. Well, that's way outside. Knepper actually throwing pretty fast. He heard what we said on that Frank Pulley microphone out there at second base. Glad you could join us. Chris Berman along with Tommy Hutton here from the 2nd half of our Tuesday doubleheader. This is what we do. We really enjoy the West Coast baseball. And Clark got ahead of that one and scorches one. Oh.
Bob Knepper had a great line. You know, he was released by the Astros in July, and then the Giants signed him, but he was left off the playoff and World Series roster. He was about ready to call it quits. He was thinking of retirement. And then he said, well, I'd go into career number 2 if I retired.
He's retired Jack Clark. Jack is not a... Well, he's had better times than he is right now.
Yeah, Jack Clark now 2 out of his last 29 as Knepper, after all those slow pitches, able to sneak a little fastball by him, down and in.
And so with 1 down, it'll bring up Gary Templeton. 1 for 2 tonight. Fly to left, single to left.
By the way, that second career that Bob Knepper is thinking about, he has a big Oregon ranch, and he tongue-in-cheek said, I'll go with career number 2, professional manure shoveling. I think he enjoys what he's doing now a little bit better.
I tell you what, I would not give up the day job right now. Sunday night, those red-hot Cincinnati Reds split a double dip today with Atlanta. And we'll see them at home at Riverfront against the Los Angeles Dodgers. 8 Eastern time, John Miller and that most recent college graduate, Joe Morgan. And our congratulations to Joe.
What a big year for Joe Morgan. Graduating from college, Hall of Fame induction.
Usually it takes a few years after you graduate from college to get into the Hall of Fame, but Joe did it the other way. Promised his mom he would get his degree, and he did.
The 5-year period.
Yeah. Mark Parent. 0 for 1 with a walk tonight. Hey, Knepper is throwing as hard as we've seen him in years.
He still rarely gets it over 82, though. It just looks hard.
You can smell that fastball out there. Two and 1 to Mark Parent.
There's certain situations in ball games that you like to see your pitcher come out and retire the opposition 1-2-3. This is one of them. You've been trailing 3-0. All of a sudden, the Giants picked up a run on that dramatic pinch hit home run by Don Robinson, 3-1. Now, if Knepper can go out 1-2-3, shut them down, they're back up again.
Plus, the pitcher leads off the next inning for San Diego. Knepper fooled him on that slow pitch.
This is a tough kind of pitcher for a guy like Mark Parent to try to face and hit against after he's seen so much inactivity. Jack McKeon, a little under the weather tonight, has a cold. He's not feeling well. He's feeling fairly good, though, with a 2-run lead, better than he's felt lately.
Parent hits one that hit the bag with the way it hopped, but it obviously hit a hard part of the infield just wide of the third base line. Matt Williams was there.
You know, you and I both talked to Trader Jack, and he can feel the way this ball club has played. He's upset at the offense, and he was hoping to see a big outburst against Francisco Olivares. He did in the first inning, but then that was all.
Nice slow curve, and Parent is down swinging. We move to the bottom of the 6th. 3-1 San Diego. Back at San Francisco, the Padres lead the Giants 3-1 in the bottom of the 6th inning. But they are playing as hot as a team can be. The Giants 16-1 in the month of June. Look at runs a game, over 7 a game, and the 3 guys who are stepping to the plate, Will Clark, Kevin Mitchell, Matt Williams, are a big reason why. These guys combined 44 homers, 147 RBI, batting average of over 300. It's reminiscent of the days of Mays, McCovey, and Jim Ray Hart when they used to hit 3, 4, 5 in the 60s. And almost the same position. Left field to center field with Mitchell and Mays. The first baseman, Clark and McCovey. The third baseman, Williams and Jim Ray Hart. Trying to get through these 3 guys 4 times a game is a formidable task. Clark fouls one back.
Say, Jack McKeon has given us a little wrinkle here with Hurst going out there starting the 6th inning. He has right-hander Greg Harris loosening up in the bullpen, so he's not going to stay with Hurst very long. That's the message he's sending right now with Harris warming up.
Especially with Hurst leading off the next half inning. They have decided we'll see how Bruce goes. He wants to keep his options open. Trader Jack usually does that.
It all goes back to that opening game of the season, and he was questioned a lot. Jack McKeon was, leaving Hurst in that long, had the no-hitter going, and ended up taking the loss.
In the game that Oral Hershiser beat him, one of the last times Oral pitched. Clark check swing, fouls it back. Count remains at 1-2. 3-1 San Diego. Bottom of the 6th inning. Chris Berman and Tommy Hutton at Candlestick Park. A game between 2 of the clubs who are going to be there. As good as the Cincinnati Reds have been and are, these 2 teams will be there in September. And the Reds know that.
Yeah, we have talked during the evening about Jack McKeon, but he has a very effective pitching coach on his side in Pat Dobson. All the pitchers on the Padres respect what Dobson can do. I would look someday to see Pat Dobson, the Major League manager.
2-2 pitch to Will Clark. Hit foul past first base coach Wendell Kim. And we'll pause a moment while they get the baseball. Clark 0 for 2 tonight, grounded to second base. Struck out looking. Wasn't happy about either call. One from umpire Bruce Fremming at first, one from third base umpire Steve Ripley, who said he did go around on the strikeout as he tried to hold his swing. Fouls one back again. Count remains at 2-2. Crowd consensus that this half inning Perhaps the Giants make a move on the 2-run deficit.
Well, the crowd also took a peek, saw that the Braves won the second game of that doubleheader against Cincinnati.
The Giants back where they started from, 7 games out. San Diego 9.5 out. Check swing, excuse me. Pags can't get to it, and Clark remains at the plate.
You know, we've seen Harris warming up in the bullpen, and some pitchers can handle this, some can't. I'm thinking of a pitcher that a lot of people know, a fellow by the name of Jim Cott, who has done some work right here on ESPN, College World Series. But he used to go out and work in games when he was with the Philadelphia Phillies. He worked so fast, Danny Ozark would have somebody warming up in the bullpen 6th, 7th inning, and Jim didn't like that because he didn't want to see anybody warming up with no one on base.
Clark fouls this one out of play, although there is a lot of room here at the stick. Pags gives it a nice run, but that's out of play. And so the count remains at 2-2. Leadoff man, bottom of the 6th for San Francisco, 3-1 Padres. So the Padres try to get back what they lost. They were red hot until the Giants went in on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday and swept them. And they'd like nothing better than to return the favor. They swept the Giants in a 3-game series here at Candlestick back in April. But then again, everybody beat the Giants here at Candlestick in April. They lost their first 8, went 2-11 to start the year at home. It's a different story now. Clark holds off with that 2012 vision of his, and the count is full at 3-2.
This has been a good battle. You're seeing a couple of the best. Tough left-hander in Bruce Hurst, and one of the best hitters in baseball in Will Clark.
Here's the pitches for Hurst, so it's certainly not that he's thrown too many pitches tonight. McKeon has Harris warming. 3-2 pitch. Clark strokes one down the right field line. It rattles around in the corner. Gwynn lets the ball get past him, and it may cost the Padres a base. Clark, no throw. The Giants' Will Clark leads off the 6th with a triple. And here comes Pat Dobson out to the mound.
Pitch out over the plate. Will Clark making the good contact. Hit it a little bit off the end of the bat. Didn't really drive that ball as well as he can, but you called it. It rattled around in the corner. Tony Gwynn got a little bit too close to the fence. He wasn't able to play that carom very well. Because of that, Clark, instead of standing at second, is over at third base with a leadoff triple. And here's what happened. It hit off that 335 sign, which is a wood board. Instead of hitting on the fence portion of the fence down there, hit off the board and caromed into right center field. And that's going to be all for Hurst. Jack McKeon with Harris warming up and knowing that Mitchell and Williams and Carter, all right-handers, due up, wants to bring in the righty.
So the Giants trailing 3-1, but Clark's leadoff triple has him buzzing here at the stick. We'll be back. Great pitcher here in the bottom of the 6th. Kevin Mitchell stepping in with Will Clark on third base with none out. Padre bullpen okay this year.
Well, the wins and losses and saves earned run average a little high.
Check swing. Jack Clark fields it. Will Clark scores as Jack makes the play to first. So not the swing that Kevin Mitchell wanted, but Mitchell will pick up RBI number 41, and it's a 3-2 game.
Yeah, really a good pitch by Harris to run a fastball inside. Mitchell was just trying to get out of the way with the infield back there. They were giving the Giants that run. All of a sudden, a one-run ball game. You know, the last starting pitcher to win a game for the San Diego Padres was Dennis Rasmussen, and that was back on June 5th.
Well, the Hurst could win this game if the Giants don't tie it up. Here's a guy that can do it with one swing of the bat. Matt Williams hit a home run to center field last night, and there's Bruce, who I think right now Bruce Hurst is upset that he's out of the ball game. I think he's upset with the pitch he made to Don Robinson, that first pitch. That's the one he needs back. Oh, and that was an inside pitch that Ron Barnes didn't mean to imply that it was a ball. Matt Williams thought so, but he gets the strike call. It's 1-1.
Breaking pitch. Matt Williams may have had a decent argument there with Ron Barnes. Getting back to Hurst, he's a competitor.
Yes.
He doesn't want to come out after 5+ innings when he has a lead.
Williams fouls it back. Parent's going to let it go wisely. It's about 7 rows back in the seats. Greg Harris has really, he's done a lot better than the bullpen stats that we've shown. 4-1, 2.03 ERA. He's come up with 3 saves himself. He and Lefferts have been the men out of the bullpen this year for Jack McKeon. He thought he started the year with 4, Calvin Schiraldi and Mark Grant, along with the 2 guys I mentioned. But it's Harris and Lefferts that have done the yeoman's job for San Diego. Oh, when he pulled the string on that one, and Matt Williams goes down swinging. So there's 2 outs. Let's go to baseball tonight with John Saunders.
The Yankees and the Brewers rain delay. They finally get it going again. Allen Mills to Dave Parker to wrap it up. That's Mattingly. Back to Mattingly, 3-6-3. The Yankees win their 10th on the road, and it's time for the stump. Get used to it. The Yankees win again tonight. Back to Chris and Tommy.
Stumping in Milwaukee. Stumping for election, maybe. Gary Carter, we mentioned at the top of the telecast, now the all-time leaders in games caught in the National League. 1,862 games Gary Carter has been a catcher. Expos, Mets, now Giants. As he rips one foul past Bill Fahey.
There have been games where Roger Craig has made a change right here. He put up Terry Kennedy to face the right-hander, but knowing that Lefferts is still in the bullpen for San Diego, a left-hander, he has to look ahead for later on in the ball game. Now if Lefferts comes in, he still has his right-hander hitter up there in Gary Carter.
Carter will go in and get a new bat, and while he does that, let's tell you what's on tap on ESPN on Friday. Part of our look at division leader and the closest team following our battle of the best. Pittsburgh and Montreal at 7:30 Eastern. Chicago at Oakland at 10:30 Eastern. Some of you will see San Diego and Atlanta early. Detroit and California late.
That's the one I'll see. San Diego and Atlanta.
I know that. That's what I meant. Some of you will see.
Bob Carpenter and I will see that one.
Bob, if I were a Carpenter working with you, and we enjoy those telecasts and we have a chance to see him. Here's Gary Carter. Did he hold up? No, he did not. And so Greg Harris comes in and induces Mitchell to ground out, gets a couple of Ks. It's 3-2 San Diego. Top of the 7th. If you're a Padre fan, you are stretching and you're happy because the Pods have tried to do what only the Atlanta Braves have done in the month of June, and that's beat the San Francisco Giants. It's the only team to have beaten them at all. And this is Greg Harris, who will bat for himself, leading off the top of the 7th for San Diego against Bob Knepper, who quickly throws a strike 1. Harris at the plate is 0 for 6 this year, but he hits this one pretty well to left field. It surprised Kevin Mitchell. It'll one hop against the wall. Harris to second base. He's going to try for third. Butler, Uribe, and Greg Harris. Boy, this is pitchers hitting night here at Candlestick. So much for 0 for 6. Greg Harris slugs a 385-foot triple.
Well, out of the pages of Don Robinson, Knepper right here, seeing that a relief pitcher's up there, just says, here's the fastball. And that's the batting practice type fastball that pitchers get to see during BP. A little secret, though. Relief pitchers only get to hit when they're at home. So Harris didn't take any batting practice tonight. He's a lifetime 115 hitter. First hit this year and in a big spot.
Well, that's a big, and now they're going to try the appeal play at second base, but nothing doing there.
That's only his 4th major league base hit.
He hit that a long way.
He was taking a peek at the ball, and that's why the Giants questioned whether he stepped on second. Second time Frank Pulley has had to make that call tonight.
So here's Tony Gwynn, 1 for 3 with a chance to put the Padres back up by 2. Strike.
Sometimes fans ask questions that to us are obvious, but when a team is on the road, they're only allotted 40 minutes to take batting practice. So the pitchers do not hit. Only the starting pitcher takes BP. So at home, everybody gets to take some swings, but not on the road.
Inside, 1-1. Mark Thurman throwing in the Giants bullpen. Giants have used Oliveros, Ed Vosberg, and Bob Nepper thus far tonight. There's the former Padre Mark Thurman. A lot of guys on each team's rosters who used to play for the other one here tonight. And Tony Gwynn, a nice bit of hitting. Did Mitchell get it? No, he did not. Gwynn is on with a base hit, but the runner had to hold. Very nice play by Kevin Mitchell, and a nice bit of hitting, of course, by Tony Gwynn.
Second time after his 0 for 2 that Tony Gwynn has hit a line drive to left field. His second out, though, was a line drive to short. So 3 balls hit well. Here's Mitchell coming in. The fans think Kevin Mitchell made the play, but he made a good short hop play. And at third base, Greg Harris, his job, he can't go because he has to come back and tag up on a line drive or a fly ball. So he was about a step off the bag, and even if Mitchell does catch that, he can't come in and score because Mitchell has his momentum coming toward the plate. There's Harris going back to tag, and no chance for him to score.
Tell you what, that's a very easy ball to get skipped past you, and Tony Gwynn would have been around the bases on that play if that goes past Kevin Mitchell. I think that's a limb that I can go out on. Runners at the corners for San Diego, who lead it 3-2. Top of the 7th, outside to Bip Roberts.
And not too often do you see a base hit to the outfield with the runner at third base and he doesn't score.
Seen it all here on the second half of our doubleheader on Tuesday nights. Roberts pops it up behind the plate. Carter's going to give it a run, but it's going to be 1 row into the seats.
And Sean McDonough and Ray Knight had the nerve to say we had a tough act to follow from that Detroit-Oakland ball game.
You know, they have a lot to learn, those guys. That's why we hit cleanup. They lead off. Sean and Ray, we love you, and you'll get to see these Giants against the Reds next Tuesday night. The first half of the Tuesday doubleheader will be at Oakland, Detroit and Oakland next week. We're at Candlestick Park in San Francisco. The Padres leading at 3-2 in the top of the 7th, but with none out, they have runners on the corners for Bip Roberts. Bob Nepper working 1-1 pitch to Bip Roberts. And he steps off the rubber.
That's the other thing that Tony Gwynn allows the Padres to have right here. He's still a threat. If he thinks he can get a good jump off Nepper in this situation, he'll go ahead and take off.
Gwynn, Roberts, and Alomar, good wheels. The top of the Padres order. This is ground foul. Yes.
A lot of things to think about as an infielder right here. Gary Carter checking over into the dugout to see if maybe a pitch out might be called. But if you're an infielder, the middle infielders, Uribe and Robbie Thompson, are about halfway. If they get that sure double play ball, they may go for it. Anybody on the corners has to be alive for the runner at third base, Greg Harris, because in a 1-run ball game in the 7th inning, you don't want to give that extra run away. So a tough situation for infielders. You really have to be alert.
One-two pitch. Nepper from the stretch. Here goes Gwynn. Foul down the left field line.
Well, it took Tony 1 pitch.
See, I tell you, there's that microphone down there. Speaker, I should say.
The other thing the infielders are aware of, that Bip Roberts, who's the hitter, excellent speed. So it'll take a hard hit ball on the ground to turn 2. More than likely, the Giant infield, if they get any kind of a ground ball, will look at Harris, just take the 1 out, try to get the 1 out at second base.
Roberts up the middle. Thompson steps on second. Yes, Clark dug it out in time for the double play. The run does score. It's 4-2 San Diego. Had to wait. Looked like Will was juggling it a bit, but Bruce Frumming made the call, and so the Giants turn a tough double play. Now wait a minute. Now Tony Gwynn is saying, wait, you haven't signaled that I was out. And now we're going to have a little rhubarb.
When you're a base runner and you slide into second base, one of the things you have to be aware of is the call of the umpire. A lot of times you'll see a base runner slide into second on a routine play and leave the field when the umpire really hasn't called you out.
Now, yeah, now it's a change.
Tony Gwynn arguing that, and then at first base, Biff Roberts saying that Clark didn't catch that ball cleanly, and second base umpire Frank Pulley coming over to help out the first base ump Bruce Fremming, who was behind Will Clark. He saw the ball beat Biff Roberts, thought that Will Clark caught it cleanly. Evidently he didn't.
There are 3 calls that have annoyed the Giants tonight, and here's a look. I did think he was bobbling it.
First of all, Robbie Thompson does step on the bag. Gwynn is out. The ball is bobbled, so Biff Roberts is safe. Give credit to Frank Pulley, who had a good angle at that call to come over and help out his partner, Bruce Fremming, at first base. And Will Clark knew it.
Of course he did. And Gwynn knew it too. He said, ask Frank Pulley. He made the safe call at second base. So there's only 1 down. The run, of course, in 4-2. Biff Roberts at first. And here is Roberto. Remember the Alomar.
So that changes a couple of things.
Yeah.
Biff Roberts picks up an RBI now. No double play. No hitting into the fielder's choice. Give Biff a ribby.
18 for him on the year. Pitch out, nothing doing with Biff Roberts.
You know, thinking back on that play, that's what Tony Gwynn was doing. He knew he was out. He just turned around to see what was happening at first base, and he saw the ball bobbled by Will Clark.
Roger also knew that the ball was bobbled. Although he wished that Frank Pulley didn't know that. So the runs that the Giants have worked so hard to creep into this game, they give one back up here in the top of the 7th. 4-2 San Diego. 1 down. Alomar, who is 3 for 3 tonight, singled and to drive in a run, later scored a run in the 3-run Padre first, doubled in the 3rd, singled in the 5th. So he had a rough series at LA.
See, Gwynn playing umpire right here, saying that, yeah, that was safe at first base. I saw Will Clark bobble that.
Up top for a ball, 3-0.
You know, while we've talked a little bit about umpires, we should certainly hope he's in bed resting. But John Hirschbeck, American League, took a shot on a pitch ball. We certainly hope he's doing all right. Good umpire.
And Alomar has now reached base all 4 times, and the crowd getting a little impatient with the work of Bob Knepper. So now runners at first and second with 1 down, and the, dare I say, dangerous Joe Carter is up, and Roger Craig is coming out. And I gotta believe that that's it for Knepper.
Well, you're about to see someone who has averaged over 100 RBIs his last 4 years in Joe Carter, and just is a 10 times better hitter with runners in scoring position.
Mark Thurman will be the new Giants pitcher. The game in the balance here with Carter up. We'll be back. The Padres lead at 4-2. The Giants making a double switch here at Candlestick. Terry Kennedy will come in the game to catch, and he will bat 9th in the pitcher spot. Mark Thurman will be the new Giants pitcher, and he will bat 6th in Gary Carter's spot, who made the last out in the Giants' 6th inning. Mark Thurman has done a nice job, especially lately for the Giants. Former Padre. You can see his ERA, his save total, and what he has done this year. Less hits than innings pitched, but you wouldn't expect to see Mark Thurman, another lefty, pitching against the righty Joe Carter. Why?
Well, that's the question that a lot of people probably have right now. Jeff Brantley came out of the bullpen last night, picked up a save, the Giants winning 2-1, but he worked 2 1/3 innings. So he might not be available. I'm sure he's not, or he'd be in this game right now. Steve Bedrosian is down there, but Roger Craig doesn't want to bring him in this early. And the only other choice would be Randy O'Neal, who was just called up. He doesn't want to bring in O'Neal in this situation. So it's a tough move for Roger Craig to bring on a left-hander to face an outstanding hitter such as Joe Carter. Not the move he would like to make, but he's forced to do it.
So here is Joe Carter, 2nd in the league in RBIs, had 1 in the 1st inning. Pitch is inside for ball number 1. Carter, 55 RBIs. 1 behind Matt Williams of the Giants, 56. And he skies one to center field. Brett Butler is right there. Bip Roberts, good speed, bluffs the go, and the throw comes into second base. So good job by Thurman getting Carter out. The runners do not advance, and now there's 2 down for Mike Pagliarulo.
Now, this out becomes ever so important for Roger Craig and the Giants, because now he has a matchup that he wants. He has a left-hander against a left-hander, Thurman against Pagliarulo. But on deck is Jack Clark. So right here, he wants to make the 3rd out, retire Pagliarulo, because there's still nobody in the bullpen. He does not want Thurman working against Clark and give the Padres another matchup that they would want.
Pags sacrifice fly drove in the 3rd Padre run in their 3-run first. He's also walked and grounded out to second base. 2 on, 2 out, 4-2 San Diego, way outside for ball 1.
Talking about options, Jack McKeon in the dugout of the Padres. He's letting his left-hander go up there. Pagliarulo, he has a couple of players he could send up there in a pinch hitting role. Gerald Clark, a tough right-hander, he could possibly pinch hit, but he's sticking with Mike Pagliarulo.
It's a battery that certainly San Diego fans had seen over the years. Mark Thurman pitching to Terry Kennedy. Swung on a miss by Pags. They did that quite well in '84 when the Padres won the West, won the National League Championship Series, and got to the World Series, losing to the Tigers. Here's Jeff Brantley, not looking like he's about to go warm up. Outside, ball 2, 2-1 to Pags. Hitting for much better average than he ever has in his career. Always a home run guy with the Yankees. He's hitting at 275. And that's way above his lifetime mark of 227.
You know, even the home runs over the last couple of years had tailed off for Pags.
Foul one just below us. All sorts of excitement up here.
I got you covered.
I'm not worried about our booth. You get the big mid over there here. That glove out early.
That's a pitch Pags would like to have back. Fastball out over the plate.
2-2 pitch off speed. Thompson is there, and the Giants escape after the leadoff triple by Greg Harris to give up only the 1 run, but the Padres have a 2-run lead. We're heading to 7th inning stretch here at Candlestick. The Padres 4, the Giants deuce.
ESPN Baseball Tonight, brought to you by Budweiser. Beechwood aged for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. By Thompson's, the first name in lasting protection. By Domino's Pizza. Call Domino's and catch all the action. It's time for Domino's Pizza. And by Levi's, 505 and 506 jeans.
Bottom of the 7th inning stretch time here at Candlestick Park. The Padres 4, the Giants 2. 4-8-0 San Diego, 2-5-1 San Francisco. Robbie Thompson fouls Greg Harris's pitch back. The count is 1-1. Thompson grounded to third and struck out looking against Bruce Hurst. He'll try and do a little better against Greg Harris. Hurst pitched into the 6th. Gave up a leadoff triple by Will Clark. Greg Harris did a nice job of allowing only the run on a check swing ground out by Mitchell, and then punching out Matt Williams and Gary Carter. Robbie Thompson was sitting down below the Mendoza line at the beginning of the month. Obviously he a different player, although Harris really fooled him on that one.
Yeah, we had mentioned that Robbie has gotten the average up with his 345 mark here in June. You know, just sitting here watching the way this game has taken place, it's amazing that we would still be talking about the shortened spring training here in June. But as the season goes on, it has a lot to do with pitching on ball clubs. A lot of ball clubs, we've mentioned it tonight, how the bullpens maybe have been overused. Harris, Lefferts, Bedrosian, Brantley. That's because the starters haven't been able to go as far as they normally do early in the year.
Grounded sharply to Pagliarulo. Long throw in time to nip a streaking Thompson, and there's 1 down in the Giants' 7th inning. The Giants have the best mark of anybody in the month of June. We've got the battle of the best all week here on ESPN. Red Sox and the Jays tomorrow night, 7:30 Eastern. Pirates and the Expos backed up with the White Sox at the A's on Friday night. The next Tuesday, the Giants, these Giants, at the first place Cincinnati Reds.
Maybe Gary Thorne will let me do a guest shot with him for a couple innings. Huh?
It's possible. You'll be at the park for your game with the Blue Jays. I don't know if there's room in that booth, though, tomorrow night, Tommy. I don't know. We might have to get a shoehorn to get you in there. Jose game-winning Uribe looks at ball one from Greg Harris. Single, rounded to short thus far tonight. Holds off. It's 2-0. Remember, although Uribe is batting eighth, Terry Kennedy with a double switch is now catching and hitting in the ninth spot, so he in the on-deck circle. And Uribe looks at ball three, says home plate umpire Ron Barnes. The chant here is "Ooh, Uribe" from the fans. That's a strike call, 3-1. One pitch. And Uribe is on board as Terry Kennedy steps up. And while Kennedy steps up, we'd like to remind you that this copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of Major League Baseball. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form without the express written consent of Major League Baseball. While Harris works to Terry Kennedy with a runner on, Craig "Def" Lefferts warming up in the Padre bullpen. Kennedy, one of the few Giants who has not hit well the last week or 10 days. 3 for his last 25, hitting .301 on the season. Got off to a jackrabbit start. Looks at strike one.
Now, one of the big moments this year for Kennedy back on May 15th, that grand slam home run against the Mets. Ron Darling on the mound.
He had a great run around the bases, didn't he, that night? Now, the game that Carter eventually won with the base hit in the eighth. So there have been many games when Roger Craig has used to his advantage both catchers. And there's former Giant Craig Lefferts, free agent signee over the winter by Jack McKeon. And the Padres now returns to Candlestick Park. Kennedy hits one to left field. Easy play for Bip Roberts. Started back, then came in. But makes the play. 2 down. Uribe returns to first base.
And the reason Lefferts is heating it quickly is just in case, and McKeon certainly hopes he doesn't have to go to Lefferts at this point of the ballgame, but just in case Will Clark comes up this inning.
This is Brett Butler. Tried to bunt his way on, but was tagged out nicely by Jack Clark. Singled in the third, walked in the fifth. Hitting at .258. With the 1 for 2 tonight. 4-2 San Diego, bottom of the seventh. 2 down, Uribe, the runner at first base. The Giants, who single-handedly put San Diego into the tank for a week. The Padres trying to return the favor. Outside, ball one.
Parent trying to make that outside pitch a strike, trying to bring it into the strike zone for Harris.
Hit the outside corner for strike one. 1-1.
We've talked about Mark Parent, who is getting the opportunity to be behind the plate with Santiago on the disabled list. You don't see too many catchers 6'5".
No.
You know, you have to get down there behind the plate. It's a lot of wear and tear on the back, the lower back.
He's what they call a backstop. You know, the pitcher Greg Harris went to the same college in North Carolina, Elon College, as Jack McKeon. Also the same college as National League umpire Joe West. It's a small place, but pretty good baseball lineage. Up top for a ball. 2-1. Greg Harris working against Brett Butler, who always dangerous. Fastest giant. Harris, 26 years of age, Pittsburgh, North Carolina. Really done a nice job for the Padres this year. Time is called. I think the fans first were hoping that a balk was called, but that's not the case.
One thing the fans are always on top of, that balk call.
Oh, remember a couple of years ago? How could you not be on top of the balk call? I mean, it was absurd.
Fans even got tired.
Yes. It's not exactly the most scintillating play in baseball. Out. Oh, he did hit the corner. I'm sorry for preceding umpire Ron Barnes' call, and it's 2-2. That's a nice pitch.
Watch the reaction of Butler. He sees it. Here's the call and can't believe it.
Tailed off. 4-2 San Diego. 2 down to the Giants' 7th. Uribe the runner at first. Brett Butler trying to get the Giants scratching back in this thing. Outside and the string is full. So I'll go out on a limb and say Uribe will be off and running.
Good move. Good call.
Now, I've learned a little with you, Coach.
There's Parker on deck, but he's a right-hander, so we have a little situation here. If Roger Craig chooses to pinch hit, and he has Kingery, Riles, Leach, then it's up to Jack McKeon to make his move.
I'd like to bat Don Robinson again, probably.
If it gets that far.
Yes. Full count to Brett Butler. Slaps one through the left side. Uribe running, but since it's left field, he'll have to stop at second base. So Brett Butler just reaching out, and the Giants have runners at first and second for maybe Rick Parker, and it will be Rick Parker.
What a nice bit of hitting by Brett Butler. Remember the strike call that was questionable? That was a good pitch too by Harris. Well, that questionable strike call to a veteran hitter such as a Brett Butler, that tells him that anything close, especially with 2 strikes, I better swing. So that pitch, a borderline pitch by Greg Harris, but close enough that Butler has to swing at it, and he just punched it in the left field and picked up the base hit.
2 on for Rick Parker. Lays off the high fastball, ball 1. Crowd of 36,000 on a Tuesday night at the Stick.
A couple of good crowds last night, tonight. Here comes Pat Dobson.
He's thrilled with the crowd.
Yeah, he's not going to make a move here. He's just going to settle down Greg Harris. But with Roger Craig staying with this decision and Lefferts heating up in the bullpen, the decision that Craig has made, he's saying he'd rather have Rick Parker face Greg Harris than one of his left-handers face Craig Lefferts, because he knows McKeon's going to make that move if he sends up a lefty.
Ron Barnes said, I don't mind you talking, but don't do it on my time, as he walks out to the mound. Greg Riddick, Jack McKeon, Padre Brain Trust. What Dobson is essentially saying is, I know Rick Parker's hitting .340, but with Clark, Mitchell, and Williams up next, gee, it would be nice to get this out, wouldn't it? Before Murderer's Row gets up. All those bats in front of Jack McKeon did the job in the first inning when the Padres scored 3. 1-0 pitch. Outside, ball 2.
And you knew that was going to be a fastball, because that's exactly what Dobson told Harris. Get this guy here. Don't worry about who's on deck or who's coming up next. So you knew that Parker was aware of that as well, looking for that fastball, but Harris missed with it.
Oh, he went for the downs on that one, but missed it. Strike 1. And the ball will fly out of here to left tonight. That's for sure. We've seen it.
And again, knowing that he's going to get another fastball, some hitters aren't as good a hitters when they know that pitch is coming. He tried to pull it a little bit too far.
Foul ball fielded by Pirillo, but after being behind in the count 2-0, Greg Harris is even it up to Rick Parker at 2-2 with 2 down. Uribe, the runner at second base, Brett Butler, the runner at first base, and that's about as fast a tandem of Giants as Roger Craig could have on the base paths on this team. Outside, the string is full, and now 2 fast men will be running. It'll be interesting to see if he puts this one in play in the outfield, how far Butler might go.
Well, he tried the curveball just to see if he could fool Parker. Just wanted to throw it for a strike. Now he has to throw another fastball.
He did not. The bases are loaded for Will Clark.
I'll tell you what, if he had gotten that curveball over, he would have fooled everybody in the ballpark, certainly Rick Parker, because you are not anticipating a breaking pitch, knowing that Will Clark is the man on deck and knowing that you're the guy that your manager wants you to retire.
Here's Jack McKeon, or actually Pat Dobson, going out, and we'll see the Craig Lefferts charge out of the bullpen, as he did as the Giant came firing out. We're going to have a couple of switches here. Looks like Sean Abner going into the outfield.
And Bip Roberts will come in and play third base, so Abner replaces Pagliarulo. Lefferts will hit in Pagliarulo's spot, and Abner will hit number 9.
But with Dobson to the mound, it's going to be Craig Lefferts, and here he comes. Look at him charge from the, and down the stretch they come. Lefferts heading to the mound. Will Clark heading to the plate. We'll be back. It doesn't get any better than this. At Candlestick, the Padres 4, the Giants 2. Craig Lefferts, the new Padre pitcher. Giant last year, a Giant this year for the Pods. With the bases loaded and 2 down, facing one of the most dangerous hitters in all of baseball, Will Clark, who thrives on this situation. Tripled in his last at bat. 1 for 3 tonight. Up top for ball 1.
Keep in mind, too, Will Clark, 6 of his 13 home runs this year have either tied or put the Giants ahead in the ball game.
With the bases loaded, you have to think of that grand slam in game 1 of the NLCS. Against the Cubs, a ball hit in such a sweet spot on the bat. I swear it was a Prince tennis racket. He got the sweet spot, never heard the crack of the bat. 1-0 pitch. Oh, he got the inside corner, and Clark is upset again. He's been upset all night.
Clark takes pride in learning the strike zone. He thought that pitch was a little up, a breaking ball. Lefferts happy that Clark didn't swing at it. How about the at-bat he had in the NLCS against Mitch Williams? Game 5.
Roger Craig called it the best at-bat he's ever seen. Fouls one back, so Lefferts ahead. 1-2. Uribe, the runner at third base. Brett Butler is at second base. Rick Parker is at first base. See, ask and ye shall receive. There they are. 1-2 pitch to Will Clark. Fouled it back. Pitch was up a little high, but with 2 strikes didn't want to take the chance.
Yeah, Will Clark, a good low ball hitter, as are most left-handers. Lefferts trying to stay up and come inside to tie up Will Clark. He doesn't want to leave anything out over the plate for him. All of his pitches have been in that general area. He can play a little bit if he wants. He can try to throw that breaking pitch away, but he better make sure it's way away.
Clark reaches out. Abner makes the play in left, so a nice job. And Lefferts is going to the Giants dugout before he turns around and realizes he's a Padre. So Lefferts did the job, then forgot where he was. It's 4-2 San Diego. Our Budweiser storyline tonight at Candlestick, with the Padres leading the Giants 4-2 in the 8th. Bruce Hurst pitched into the 6th inning. The Padres got a 3-run first inning as Alomar, Carter, and Pagliarulo drove in runs. Don Robinson with a pinch hit home run. That's right, the pitcher Don Robinson with a home run for the Giants. But after the Giants crept to within 3-2, the Padres added 1 in their half of the 7th inning. And that's where we stand, as the Padres, who did not hit well against Francisco Olivares last time, did better tonight And that's why they lead it 4-2. And Will Clark wants that at bat back as Lefferts made a nice pitch.
Yeah, during a game, there are constant one-on-one battles. That time, Will Clark can just say Lefferts won the battle. He made a good pitch with 2 strikes.
Mark Thurman pitching to Jack Clark, swings at the first pitch, straightaway center. Brett Butler makes the catch, and there's 1 down in the San Diego 8th.
And Jack Clark continues to struggle. He's now 2 out of his last 30.
There is Craig Lefferts mopping up his head.
And in the right dugout.
Yes, that's a funny moment. We're going to talk about that the next half inning. Because he... Well, it's strange. You know, you pitch so much on instinct. He imagines he's still on the Giants when he's back here at Candlestick. Gary Templeton, 1 for 3 tonight. Looks at ball 1 from Mark Thurman. Strike call. It's 1-1. It's been a lot of fun here at the Stick tonight. Hope you've enjoyed it. Templeton fouls one back.
I think this could be the first game ever at Candlestick Park that I have gone past the 10 o'clock hour without wearing my jacket. I mean, it's still a comfortable evening here at Candlestick.
It's great here in the Bay Area. Beautiful day. It's like an April or an October day. You don't get weather like this in the summer usually. As Templeton reaches out and hits one to center field, Butler squeezes it for the 2nd out of the inning. If it happens in baseball, you already know that it happens on baseball tonight. John Saunders working the desk tonight. Dave Marish other nights. Highlights, scores, analysis. If you want to know what's going on in baseball, ESPN has it for you. This guy is rushing home.
I won't go to that extreme. It's not that warm.
Well, it's nice here. I mean, we'll give you the shirt.
Thing, he thinks he's getting a tan, though.
Yeah. Well, the lights are bright. We'll give you the shirt off our backs on Baseball Tonight every night on ESPN. And, of course, SportsCenter following the game this evening. Hope you've enjoyed our doubleheader, that exciting game, though not as exciting as this one. That first game with Sean and Ray had with the Tigers and the A's. A's have gone belly up in Detroit after taking 3 or 4 from the White Sox. I was in Chicago this weekend, and they were really talking White Sox. Everybody was hepped up. Ball is 1-1 to Mark Perrin. And before we go any further, congratulations to Hale Irwin. I was fortunate enough to cover the U.S. Open, and he was the chief. Hale was the chief, and so was Mike Donald. Congratulations to both men. A thrilling playoff in the U.S. Open. Perrin rounds to Uribe. On to first base in time, and the Padres are down to the 8th. Giants coming up at the bottom of the 8th, trailing 4-2. Just another kickback night here at the Hotel California. The Giants and Padres. Hey, the Padres are trying to beat the Giants in the month of June. Didn't think it was possible.
Well, I tell you, the Padres have lost 6 out of 7 coming into this game, and they need to get things turned around offensively. Jack McKeon said that he had hoped his ball club would jump on Francisco Olivares. They did. They got 3 runs in the first inning. They kind of settled down after that. Their next run came in the 7th. It took them a while. Good ball game.
Very good ball game between a couple of teams that are going to be there. If the Cincinnati Reds will allow them to be. Of course, that's not Cincinnati's plan. Kevin Mitchell. Ian Lefferts had a nice visit before the game, changing war stories. Kevin Mitchell leads off the bottom of the 8th inning. Mitch walk 0 for 2 tonight. Way out in front of that pitch, and it's 1-1.
By the way, give some credit, though, to Cincinnati. Lou Piniella and his crew after a tough road trip that started with problems here in San Francisco. Mitchell missing that pitch, but all of a sudden they put together, coming into their doubleheader tonight, had won 5 straight.
Mitchell slugs one past Pip Roberts into left field, and the Giants lead off the 8th with a solid single. Giants' 7th hit of the ball game, and that'll bring up Matt Williams.
Hey, Mitch Williams had some problems with his, Kevin Mitchell had problems with his wrist early in the year. but Kevin played through that, didn't bother him, and he has just been tough. I think it's a surprise to a lot of people that his batting average is as high as it is. Coming into this ball game, Mitchell hitting .323. Base hits and power.
Mitch not wearing the goggles tonight. We've yet to see those superheroes. He showed them
Said
to
it
you and
wasn't
I.
windy enough.
Yeah, the wind kicks up. He'll have his prescription goggles. Down in the dirt. Nice play by Parent. Ball 1 to Matt Williams. National League leader in RBIs. .318. Hitting over .450 since he went to the high sock. And he has socked the ball left and right. National League Player of the Week last week. 1 for 3 tonight. Single. Skies this one behind first in foul ground. Alomar and Clark collide, but Jack Clark makes the play. A little miscommunication there, but the out is made, and Williams will sit down, and Greg Litton will come up and pinch hit for the pitcher, Mark Thurman, who is batting now in the 6th spot.
I tell you, Clark and Alomar can be thankful it is a calm night here at Candlestick. That is not an easy play, even with no wind. A little mix-up between the two. It's really Alomar's ball. Jack Clark had it all the way, but it's an easier play for the second baseman. Alomar and Clark lucky that neither one was injured. Jack surprised that Alomar was there. But that ball is the second baseman's all the way. Roberto Alomar, who someday, Jack McKeon said down the road, could be the shortstop for the San Diego Padres.
Greg Litton, the pinch hitter, hitting .216 on the year. A home run in the series. Hits one to right center field. But Joe Carter is there in time, and that time no problem in communication as he called off Tony Gwynn. And with Mitchell with the leadoff single, very quickly Craig Lefferts has gotten 2 Giants down. And, you know, we talk about Lefferts. He started to walk into the other dugout. Earlier this year when the Padres were in here for a 3-game series, the word went he warmed up in the bullpen that he would go in to pitch unless the Padres got ahead. While the Padres got ahead, Greg Harris batted for himself. Lefferts charged into the mound. Greg Harris is already standing there with the ball. Lefferts said as he works here to Robbie Thompson, and skies one to center field. Joe Carter, a long run. Templeton off his glove, and Mitchell running on the play will come around to score. The Giants get a gift. Lefferts thought he was out of the inning instead. Thompson at second base. Mitchell has scored. It's 4-3. That's a long run for Templeton. I'm surprised Carter didn't call him off.
Carter playing deep because he didn't want anything to get by him for extra bases. Robbie Thompson, watch his reaction. He slings the bat down thinking it's out number 3. It is really Joe Carter's ball. He pulled up and allowed Gary Templeton to take charge, when in fact in that play the center fielder needs to take charge coming in on a ball from the outfield. But Templeton starts to cruise. He's probably waiting to hear Joe Carter make the call. He never heard it.
We talked about an embarrassing moment for Lefferts. That was an embarrassing moment for Templeton and Joe Carter. So Tempe will get the error. And Uribe is up with a tying run at second base. Each team with 1 error tonight. There's the Uribe chant. Ground ball cut off by Bip Roberts. Throws at first in time, but the Giants get a gift run, and with an inning to play, they have scratched to within 1. Heading to the 9th at Candlestick. The Padres 4, the Giants 3.
ESPN Baseball Tonight, brought to you by Mitsubishi, bringing you a full line of award-winning automobiles. See them all at your Mitsubishi Motors dealer. By Easy Painter, who brings you the finest in one-coater paintbrushes, rollers, and pads. By Kendall Motor Oil. When you pour in the Kendall, you can really pour it on. And by Budweiser, the king of beers. Remember, know when to say when.
Top of the 9th here at Candlestick Park, and Sean Lil Abner swinging at the first pitch with a base hit to center field. And the Padres, who have done this sort of thing in the 9th inning before at Candlestick, maybe looking to rattle that bat rack. In the 4 games in which they've gone 3-1 here at the Stick, in the 9th inning alone, 8 runs on 12 hits. So the Pods, who kind of gave the Giants a gift run to make it 4-3, maybe looking for some insurance. And on one pitch against the new Giants pitcher Steve Bedrosian, Sean Abner, who's now running on this pitch to Tony Gwynn, but he's fouled back. So the Padres, after kind of a shaky inning out in the field, even the plays they did make, try to use a little aggression on the base paths and at the plate.
Yeah, they're trying to add on, at least get one more here. The hit and run there with Tony Gwynn. Now Tony's not sure. He's going to check with third base coach Sandy Alomar. With Abner at first base, Abner has good speed. You would look for sure for a sacrifice just to get the runner in scoring position, but when you have a hitter such as a Tony Gwynn at the plate, you have a couple of other options. So that's why that hit and run was put on that first pitch.
We'll see what Jack McKeon has in mind.
Normally Bedrosian throws a lot of strikes, comes right after the hitter, so a pretty good pitcher to put that hit and run on.
Throw over to first base.
Wouldn't put it on with 0-1 count though after the first try. Maybe wait a little later on in the count if it happens.
Matt Williams way in on the grass at third. There's Gwynn. Yes, he did offer that bunt, and now it's 0-2. So Jack McKeon obviously be putting something different on. We told Jack we would do this tonight. A couple of his sons watching him. Well, here's Gwynn again.
Might be the biggest break that Jack McKeon got right there. Gwynn missing that, and all of a sudden now he has to swing the bat.
Yeah, that's right. Well, that would really be terrible. He's only hitting .327. I don't know if he can handle that bat. Throw over to first base. Gwynn is 2 for 4 tonight, and singled in each of his last 2 at bats. Bedrock ahead 0-2 in the count. A 3-time National League batting champion. Won it 4 times in all. Did he go around? Yes! The pump by umpire Ron Barnes behind the plate. They're pumped up here in the Stick. What about at baseball tonight with John Saunders?
The Astros and the Dodgers. Lenny Harris at the plate. Alfredo Griffin aboard, facing Xavier Hernandez. This one out to Glenn Wilson, who's coming home to Craig Biggio. Stan Javier says slide. Alfredo does not. He's out at the plate. Didn't matter. 5-1 is the final. As you look at the replay, the Dodgers get the victory over Houston. That's 11 straight on the road. Back to you.
All right, John. So the Astros get them to the Dome. Bip Roberts started left, now goes to third base. Looks at ball outside from Steve Bedrosian. What I wanted to say was Jack's son Kelly watching in Miami tonight. Want us to say hello. And his son Casey has done a nice job playing with the Fayetteville Generals, the Tigers organization. The South Atlantic League won their first half championship in that league. So the McKeons watching far and wide tonight on ESPN, as we hope you are too. Kennedy will go talk to Bedrock.
Oh, that's right, and we hope Casey is in, so he made curfew.
Yeah. Now Jack will be annoyed that we waited that long, knowing the guys are on the East Coast. I'm sorry, Jack. Here's the Padre bullpen with the high 10s there, I guess, on the fence.
Change of bullpens here at Candlestick. Bullpens a few years ago used to be down the line, just in foul territory.
Bip Roberts with an excuse me base hit that drops in front of Mitchell. A quick throw in, but Abner is back. And we showed you what the Padres have done in the 9th inning against the Giants here at the Stick this year. And with 1 down, they have 2 runners aboard for Roberto Alomar, who has reached base all 4 times tonight. 2 singles, a double, and a base on ball.
Bedrosian facing Alomar. Now, I'd mentioned earlier that Alomar could be somewhere down the road. The shortstop, Gary Templeton, a veteran, doesn't have too many more years left on his knees. And with Bip Roberts, Joey Cora around, a couple other second basemen, Alomar could make the shift.
This one is here. Almost. You were there, though. Again, had the glove there.
The reactions never leave. The timing leaves, but the reactions never leave. Roberto did play shortstop at the AA level, so it's not an unfamiliar position to him.
What he has done his first couple of years is right on line with the best second baseman in the game today. And speaking of the best, we have the battle of the best tomorrow night. Red Sox and Jays from the Sky Dome at 7:30 Eastern. Pirates at the Expos, followed by the White Sox at the A's on Friday night. Giants at the Reds on Tuesday night, and then we'll be on hand next Tuesday for Detroit at Oakland. Swung on and missed by Alomar, so for the first time in 5 at-bats tonight, he will sit on the pines. 2 down. Good heater by Bedrock.
Bedrock just challenging Roberto Alomar with his good fastball. He keeps it up, and it's right on past Alomar for the strikeout. Good drive by Steve Bedrosian, who has always worn his pants that way. Matt Williams just recently doing it.
Some good sock, some good leg being shown here by the Giants tonight. There's Bedrock's socks. Who's his higher, Matt or Bedrock's? What do you think, Tom?
I think Matt might be a little bit higher. Bedrock's look higher because he has longer legs. Who would have thought we'd be discussing players' legs in the 9th inning of a close ball game?
Yeah. It's late.
San Francisco.
Oh, please. Joe Carter at the plate. Moving right along. Pitch outside. It's 2-0. So 4 socks up as opposed to when Jeffrey Leonard played here when he had both flaps down on home runs. 2-0 pitch, the high kick from Bedrock, and he gets the strike call. And talking about Bedrosian, I mean, it's been talked about all year. I think everybody with Lefferts on deck, everybody feeling for Steve and his family. 2-year-old son Cody, I guess, is having leukemia. Treatment has been great. As Carter K's, and they've got the base runner hung up.
No, it was only strike 2.
I'm sorry, but it doesn't matter because he's gone and the Padres are gone anyway.
Abner thought it was strike 3 and was heading to the dugout.
So a base running error by Sean Abner. The Giants, Kennedy catches him off base. The Giants coming up at the bottom of the 9th, trailing 4-3. At San Francisco, will this be the last at bat for the Giants? They trail at 4-3. It could have been more, but Sean Abner, thinking it was strike 3, got caught by Terry Kennedy between 2nd and 3rd.
Well, just a little bit to play defense lawyer for Sean Abner. He probably looked at the scoreboard. The scoreboard was wrong, and occasionally it is wrong.
That's
and the scoreboard had 2 strikes, so Abner thought that was the 3rd strike. But when in doubt, if you're not sure, your job is to check with the umpire, say, what is the count? All the umpires keep the count, even the base umpires.
So Craig Lefferts, the former Giant, tries to work against his ex-mates. Terry Kennedy leads off the Giant 9th. Giants have won 2 games going into the 9th inning when they were behind. One against the Mets when they trailed Dwight Gooden 3-0 in the 8th and eventually won that. As Kennedy skies this to center field, but Alomar this time takes charge and makes the catch on the outfield grass. And the other game was against the Reds when Clark homered off of Myers to tie it. Mitchell off of Dibble in the 11th to win it. The other 24 times they've lost.
You know, that was something, seeing Roberto Alomar really take charge, because you and I between innings have talked about the last couple of innings. The Padres, even though they have the lead here, just haven't been in sync. We saw the play almost a mix-up behind first. We saw Joe Carter and Gary Templeton have a mix-up. Even Carter and Gwynn in right center on the fly ball that was caught. So Alomar really took charge there.
Brett Butler with 1 down. And if the Giants can get either man on, Will Clark will bat in the 9th. Roberts really in on the grass.
And thinking that, knowing that Butler every year has over 20 bunt base hits, Bip Roberts is breathing in on Brett Butler. Look how you can see just in the corner of the screen how close he is.
And hugging the line. So Butler could push one between Roberts and the mound if that's what he wants to do.
You know, I talked to him about that last week, though, and he said he doesn't try that too often. Larry Bowa, to play with the Philadelphia Phillies, did that a lot. more often against a right-hander, not a left-hander, because the right-hander would fall off toward first base. He'd push that bunt out toward the shortstop and beat it out.
1-1 the count to Brett Butler. Oh, Lefferts wanted that pitch. He's not going to get it. It's 2-1.
Because you know the experience of Brett Butler right here. He's going to make Lefferts pitch because he wants to get on base. He wants to try to at least get Will Clark to bat.
Lefferts had that embarrassing moment running to the mound. He knows this is his game here. In April, he found 2 pitchers on the mound, and he sprinted back to the bullpen. Oh, and there's a shot down the right field line. Tony Gwynn's going to race to it quickly. Butler makes the turn, but down by a run, there is no way he's going to try for second base unless Gwynn misplays that down the line.
And Tony Gwynn making a good play to hustle over and get to that ball in a hurry to hold Butler just to the single. If Butler hits this hard, when he first hit it, I was thinking possible double for the leadoff man of the Giants. But watch out, Tony Gwynn hustles over and then comes up and fires in hard to hold Butler to that single.
A pretty good 6 hours of baseball tonight here on ESPN. 1-run game, Tigers besting the A's. 1-run game here, the Padres for the Giants. 3, bottom of the 9th, 1 out. Brett Butler, the runner at first base. Rick Parker up. Will Clark, who was retired with the bases loaded in the 7th by the Pods, may have another shot barring a double play. Rick Parker 0 for 3 and a walk tonight. Rounds 1 in the hole. Templeton, yes, to second base to Alomar in time for 1. So the Giants are down to their last out. But if you're going to be down to your last out, you might as well have Will Clark at the plate. Bob Lee and Montgomery with Sports Center next. You want to stay tuned for that with all the Major League Baseball highlights. Hey, we even have World Cup soccer scores and highlights. This man is a highlight in and amongst himself. Will Clark. They got him in the 7th. Can they get him in the 9th? Yes, strike 1. Lefferts working nicely against him in the 7th. Nice pitch again.
Yeah, and remember the pitch that Lefferts was able to retire Will Clark on back in that 7th inning. A breaking ball, and it was a good one out over the plate.
Clark reaches out. It'll find the grass. Butler will stop at second base. So the Giants' tying run is at second. The winning run is at first base. And Kevin Mitchell coming up. So even though he looked like he was fooled, he still got the base hit.
And he kept it alive to bring on the right-hander. No action in the Padre bullpen. Another good pitch by Lefferts, a breaking ball away from Will Clark. He just tries to poke it into the outfield. Gets the base hit. Rick Parker's at second. So all of a sudden the go-ahead runs now are on the bases.
The Giants, who've been making a habit of hitting in double figures for hits this month, need 1 more hit for 10 hits. And in most likelihood, 1 more hit would at least tie the game.
This is also a game where Jack McKeon has used his 2 aces, Harris and Lefferts, a lot more than he would like. And if he continues to do so during the season, the bullpen's going to be in trouble.
Parker at second, Clark at first. 2 down. Mitchell skies one. It's in play. Bip Roberts in foul territory. And he makes the catch. So a nice job in relief by former Giant Craig Lefferts as he closes the door on San Francisco. And for only the 2nd time all month, the Giants have come up on the short end of the stick. San Diego wins it 4-3. A big win for this ball club.
Oh, I tell you, the Padres needed this one desperately. They came up with the 3 early runs, and they were able to hang on. Just an exciting ball game that had a lot of things happen. A lot of baseball involved tonight. I had some fun.
It was a lot of fun. We hope you enjoyed it, too. We'll see you with the Tigers and the A's next Tuesday night. For Tommy Hutton, this is Chris Berman saying so long from the stick. Now let's scoot to John Saunders.
Thanks a lot, Chris and Tommy. The Padres ending the Giants' 9-game winning streak. They fall all the way to 16-2, though. in the month of June as they chase the Cincinnati Reds. Still plenty of baseball to come here on ESPN this week, and chasing is what it's all about. The battle of the best. Wednesday at 7:30, the Red Sox, a game behind the Blue Jays after beating them tonight. You'll see that one here tomorrow. Then Friday, a doubleheader in the National League East. The Pirates have a 2.5 game lead on the Expos. They'll be in Montreal. And the White Sox 4 games behind the A's as they move into Oakland. Sports Center comes your way next with Bob Lee and Ann Montgomery. We'll see you again tomorrow night. Good night, everyone.